What if I told you we've been lied to our whole life? From a young age, we've been told that our grades, our career success, our financial achievements determine our importance. Being liked, appraised, and approved by others determines our worth. But the truth is, what I've learned over the past 20 years of navigating all of this unworthiness, all of this self-loathing, and looking for praise, validation, not feeling good enough. Our value doesn't increase when we succeed, and it doesn't diminish when we fail. We are worthy simply because we exist. When we rely on praise and validation as a way to feel good, we get a temporary hit of dopamine. This soon fades away, and we're left with a feeling of dissatisfaction and wanting more. And this creates a never-ending cycle of looking outside of ourselves to feel better. So we're constantly chasing the approval of others to get our feeling and fixes of feeling good. And if we're not getting that approval, or if we're sitting by ourselves or we don't have things going on, we can feel deflated, depressed, uninspired, not good enough, unworthy. We seek validation from the relationships that we're in, often chasing those hits, looking for happiness from somebody else. And if that person doesn't give us the happiness we so desire, then we start to feel less than enough, less than good enough, depressed, unhappy. It took me 20 years to really, really trust that happiness comes from within, through the yoga practices, through the failures of relationships. When I was looking for those relationships to make me happy and they just didn't, I had to turn again and again and again back to my practices, back to my meditations, and over the years reprogram the conditioning of what we've been taught from a young age, that success, that feeling good about ourselves, came from being good at school, a good daughter, a good son, getting praise when you're doing well, and then getting told off when you're not doing so well, and not really valuing the person just for being who they are, not celebrating that person whether they're successful or being a failure, but simply celebrating them because they're beautiful and they're here and they exist and we exist. This is true liberation. This is compassion. This is true love, beautiful love. And it doesn't come from being validated by others. The second way we look to gain approval from others is by fitting in with other people. We mold ourselves to fit in, to please others. I have been very much a person that did this in the past. I was a complete people pleaser, which meant saying yes when I meant no. It meant molding myself in to fit into others' desires or wants, even though I didn't really want to do it, or I felt uncomfortable to do it. And as a result of that, I actually felt very uncomfortable in my own skin. I didn't feel authentically myself. So it became a very uncomfortable experience, molding in to fit others. Doesn't feel a happy place to be at all. What liberation is when we can be free from that, the need to be people pleasing. We lose our authentic self, and it feels deeply uncomfortable within our system. Have you ever felt like that? The third thing is the fear of disapproval from others, and this fear of disapproval holds us back, that we were here, that we were born to be in this lifetime. The fear of disapproval keeps us paralyzed and stuck in keeping ourselves small because we're worried what others are going to judge us or criticize us. We hesitate to pursue our dreams because we're not going to be met with applause from others. This fear keeps us small and stuck into not living our best life. My fourth realization was that when we keep listening to the voice of others, it distracts us from our own intuition, our own inner guidance system. And this is the death of our true potential. Listening to others drowns out this intuition. I know as a mother, and as a parent, it's sometimes very hard to surrender and to just let go and drop the control, and to know when at a certain point, when your children have come at a certain age when they're not going to be in physical harm. So at the beginning, obviously, you're teaching them how not to fall over or burn themselves, but as they become young adults, it can be that parents can't let go of that control, and they keep putting on their opinion, taking away this opportunity for this inner guidance system to come into place. And that means sometimes sitting back, knowing that what they're doing isn't particularly a very good idea, but allowing them to learn how to trust themselves. Opportunity to fail, failure is extremely important, as is success. This is how we learn and grow. And if we never fail, if we don't sharpen that muscle on learning how to fail, we become fearful of failure. And therefore we stay stuck being small because we're too scared to go out of our comfort zones and take those risks. So trusting that inner compass is something, a skill that can be learnt and practiced again and again and again, and is incredibly important. At some point we have to learn how to cut out the noise of all those external opinion, advice giving, and learn how to trust our own inner guidance system so that we can make our own aligned choices and decisions. And ultimately this boosts our own self-worth and our own expression, and brings freedom and joy and authenticity. So the fifth tip I'm going to share is that true self-worth, true confidence is an inside job. It cannot come from anything outside. It cannot be sourced from outside. It's an inside job. And it took me 20 years to fully get this, to fully understand that everything that I feel within me is my own validation. Self-assurance, self-confidence, self-worth, self-love is an inside job. And yoga, meditation, mudras, mantras have been my journey into this inner landscape. It's a practice that focuses solely on this. It's a journey of the inside. Life is an inside job. Whatever we perceive in here is how we're going to perceive the outside world. When we stop outsourcing our value and learning to validate ourselves, we break free from this cycle and from this loop. And that's where the real transformation begins. Is there something in your life that's stopping you from moving forward and expressing who you truly are? Are you afraid of being criticized or not being good enough? What's holding you back from shining your own light? I was very self-critical of myself, and when I wanted to become a yoga teacher, I trained and became a yoga teacher in 2006, and I had heart beating in my chest. Even if I wanted to say my name in a circle, I literally had such little self-worth, self-esteem. I didn't feel good enough, pretty enough, clever enough, interesting enough, funny enough, anything enough, to be honest. So I remember that first training session, we had to stand in the circle and say who we were. I was shaking all over. But I kept going. Something within me, my soul purpose, knew that I wanted to teach yoga. And so I had to overcome. And so it's training myself and to stand up in front of others and to speak. And eventually, the more I did it, the easier it became. So it's like stepping out your comfort zone, even if you're afraid, and taking that leap. So I want to know from you today, what would you be doing this year to step out of your comfort zone, despite your inner critic and your inner voice telling yourself you're not good enough, pretty enough, clever enough? What is it that you could overcome this year? I'm going to share with you a beautiful practice that only takes a couple of minutes, but it can transform your feelings of self-loathing and self-doubt and lack of self-assurance and confidence into that of love and self-assurance and confidence and joy. We're going to practice something called Padma Mudra and the gentle meditation that goes with it. Learning how to cultivate our inner life force, our inner glow, our inner joy and our inner beauty comes with patience and practice. So I'm not going to say that we're going to transfer all our limiting beliefs overnight, but with consistency and habits, creating habits that support the inner light on a daily basis is how we are going to transform all of this need for approval of the outside world into a beautiful oasis and sanctuary of this inner world that we are going to nurture and nourish every time we come to a mat, every time we come to sit and ignite that light. Our soul light grows, our soul beauty grows, and bit by bit we uncover that light, that strength, that resilience, that self-assurance, that self-confidence, that inner peace and inner beauty. And then that starts to radiate out into the world, and we start to need less the noise of the world, validation of the world, the approval of our loved ones, because we have such a beautiful, strong, resilient sanctuary within us that is rooted in love, rooted in source, rooted in beauty, rooted in grace, rooted in the eternal presence of now. And it is just, we can't leave home without it. Padma Mudra is a beautiful analogy. Think of Padma. Padma is the lotus flower, and the lotus flower is born out of the mud. It comes through the mud, but the beauty of the flower is unsullied by that mud. Now the mud, or all of the difficulties that we have in life that we've been working through on this journey, is not something that we want to discount. These dark times, these difficult times, are actually here for our transformation, and without them we wouldn't be able to really appreciate the light, would we? So the light and the dark respect each other. The dark respects the light respects the dark. And in this process, it means we are not spiritually bypassing. We're not just searching for light. We're actually honouring all those difficult times, all those unworthiness, all that self-criticism, all the challenges of life, because they help us to go deeper and to come out with that beautiful soul beauty. It encourages us to search for the light and to really appreciate those dark times. So Padma Mudra is about that. It's an honouring of the light and an honouring of the dark, and giving thanks for the two, because we cannot have one without the other. As you can see behind me, I'm actually here at the spring equinox. It is springtime, and this comes into a time of honouring the winter and the dark months, and giving thanks for it, and coming into the light. And now as we come out into the light, that appreciation of that dark time, the equality of light and dark. So we're also in that same theme here. You can practice this mudra when you feel contracted in your heart center. The benefits of this mudra on our heartfelt communication, emotional cleansing, and really calling back those fragmented parts of our being back to a wholeness and to clarity and a peace and a beauty. This mudra helps to redirect prana to the heart center. And sometimes that prana has been misdirected through miscommunications, fighting, grief, loneliness, feelings of separation, feeling of unworthiness. This mudra helps to bring everything back to the heart center and to cleanse and clear that energy. So how we're going to practice this, we're going to come into a comfortable seat, sitting on the earth or sitting in a chair. And we're going to reach down into that seat, into the ground, into the earth. We're going to rise up through the crown of the head. So we're not rigid in our spine. We're soft but tall, grounded in the earth, and lifted to the sky. We're going to just take a moment here. Let's take a breath in for 5. And a breath out. And again, into 5. And out. We're going to bring our hands into Anjali Mudra, and then for Padma Mudra, we're literally going to flower open those 3 fingers. So the palm, the base of the palms stay together, and the thumbs and the little fingers stay together, and we flower open the 3 fingers here. Padma Mudra, lotus flower. Now we're going to imagine that our spine going down through the long bones of the legs into the feet, if you're sitting in a chair, and then down into the earth. It's like the stem of the lotus. If you're sitting on the floor, you can bring in your grounding cord. So that's that ruby red cord that attaches just below the belly button, and we take it all the way down through the rocks and the boulders into the deep roots of the earth, and just plug in to earth energy. So we're grounded and rooted. We have the hands at the heart center, and we open up those 3 fingers. The top of the head lifts. We have the hands at the heart center, and as we close the eyes, just for a moment sitting with your breath, and imagine that this lotus flower is like a cup that you're filling with the qualities of love, grace, compassion, forgiveness. And you're filling this cup, this heart of yours, with this beautiful quality, allowing this flower to blossom. Now, a lovely thing to do is just to close the lotus hands, sealing that energy within us. And then spinning the hands, like we're spinning the prayer wheel of our heart. And the prayers of our heart is that of love, joy and peace, beauty and grace, forgiveness. And we're just keeping the hands contacted at all times. It actually feels really nice on your wrist as well. And it's like we're sharing that out with others. Sometimes nice if you want to sit with a loved one, you can have them sit opposite you and take the mudra and then spin the prayer wheel to each other. You can gaze into each other's eyes, you can do it with a friend. And if you don't have someone you want to do that with, you could have a picture of someone. It could be someone that you want to forgive and you're sharing this love with them from a distance. Bring our hands back to the prayer position. Let's take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. It took me 20 years to recognize that my own worth didn't need to be sourced from others, that I could validate my own self, that I was the keeper of my own worthiness. It took me 20 years to realize this, and a lot of heartache, disharmony, and the wrong choices, out of aligned choices along the way. So I hope this helped you to not go through some of the things that I've been through myself. But if you do, know that somewhere along the line you will get so tired that you will have to change. To break free and claim your worth is an inside job. Here's something powerful to leave you with that I used to do every single day before I left the house, as well as my meditation. Just putting my hands on my heart center and say to yourself, if I didn't need anyone's approval today, what would I do different? If I didn't need anyone's approval today, what would I do different? And then listen. Your soul knows the way. Repeat these words after me. I am love. I am light. I am all that is divine, and in this truth I live. And in this truth I live. Peace, peace,